Now today's class is all about email marketing. I'm actually going to be running two classes on email marketing. Today will be more of an introductory class where we are going to learn about the two main email marketing services that are out there that a lot of internet marketers use. And we will conclude tonight's class with putting together an actual sign-up form page on our website. And then in the next class, we will continue on with this training and pull all of this together into a finalized strategy. And we'll actually show you guys how to apply this in the real world. Now, before I actually dive into talking about the actual services and showing you how they work and everything, I want to give you a bit of a comparison of these two main services, Aweber and GetResponse. I have used both of these services for numerous years, and so I have some opinions on each of them in terms of what I like and what I don't like and what I can pass along as far as recommendations go for you. Now, I still use both of these sites because I have a pretty decent newsletter on Aweber, and I simply don't want to transfer that over to GetResponse and just close out my Aweber account. The reason why is because Aweber is solely double opt-in confirmation, whereas GetResponse has some options for special accounts to actually be able to do single opt-in. As a result, I kind of suspect that the open rates are and the deliver rates are a little bit better on Aweber than they are on GetResponse. But this is also kind of based off of my own data, which could be a little bit skewed because my Aweber accounts are older than my GetResponse accounts. So they may simply be a little less responsive in that manner sometimes. Now, in terms of pricing, Aweber, their basic plan is $19 a month, but you can actually join for the first month for just $1. Now, they have quarterly and yearly plans available, which will reduce your price a little bit, but you can't get the $1 trial unless you are on the monthly plan. Now, in addition to that, you are charged based on the number of subscribers that you have. Included with your $19 a month, you get 500 subscribers. Once you top that level, you get into these other tiers, and they add this additional price in with your monthly price. So if you hit 501 subscribers, you'll pay $19 a month plus $10 a month, so you'll be paying $29 a month for that account. Now, one of the things that's kind of important to remember about Aweber, especially having to do with these leads, is that their account that they are making you pay for actually seems to be based on your total number of leads. I'm talking about people that are subscribed to your newsletter, and I'm also talking about people that subscribed to your newsletter but then unsubscribed at a later point in time. They are still counted as leads, and you actually pay for your unsubscribed leads on Aweber. Now, you can get around this by simply going into your various email list and simply deleting all of your leads that have unsubscribed. I find myself having to do this on a maybe semi-annual basis just to ensure that I don't end up topping into a new payment tier simply because of unsubscribers. I don't want to be paying extra money for people that I can't even email. Now, if you have an existing list of any kind that you are wanting to import into your email marketing service, Aweber is not the way to go. They do require double opt-in confirmation on all leads, and this even applies when you import emails. So if you import a list of emails into Aweber, they will send out a confirmation email to all of those subscribers, and they will have to actually click on the link in that confirmation email to join your Aweber list. And I can tell you from experience, before I moved to Aweber, I did self-hosted for a number of years, and when I finally went to go move to Aweber, I lost 60–70% of my entire list simply because they didn't happen to click on the confirmation link in that one email that gets dispatched. It's simply impossible for everybody to click on the link in that email. So I don't recommend Aweber for importing lists at all. Now moving on to GetResponse. I feel like their pricing is a lot clearer. They don't have a separate base price along with a monthly price that applies to your subscriber count. They just give you a set monthly price based on your subscribers. Now, one advantage to this is that you are getting extra discounts here as you go higher up, especially if you want to go for the annual plan, for example. You'll end up saving a lot more money per month than you will with Aweber. The reason why is because their base plan is what is reduced in price when you go for the quarterly or the yearly plan. However, it doesn't reduce these prices at all based on your subscribers. But on GetResponse, that price discount is scaling to the entire fee that you're paying for your account. Now, in addition to that, GetResponse is simply cheaper. If you look at their base account level, 1,000 subscribers for $15 a month. If I jump over to Aweber, if I had 1,000 subscribers on an Aweber account, I would be in this tier right here. So I would be paying $29 a month for 1,000 subscribers. That's almost twice as much as GetResponse will charge you. Even if you're just getting started and you don't have any subscribers, GetResponse is still going to be cheaper. They'll be $15 a month compared with $19 a month for GetResponse. Now, no matter what tier you end up in on GetResponse, it's still cheaper than Aweber. Now, one of the main things about GetResponse that I like, and it's really the entire reason why I even use GetResponse at all, is because they have a special partnership with JVZoo. And whenever you create an account through JVZoo, instead of just simply going to the GetResponse website, you get access to a special type of account that actually allows you to have access to single opt-in confirmation. This would allow you to import a list of email addresses without having to dispatch that confirmation email that they have to click the link in to actually join your list. Now, GetResponse does have a automated monitoring process. I'm sorry, not automated, manual. They actually manually review all of your imports and will have to approve them. If you happen to be importing a really large list, I would recommend splitting it up into chunks of 50 to 100 subscribers and submitting each chunk at a time. That way, if they deny one of your imports, then you can simply go back to that portion of the list and try to figure out, maybe there's an email address there that is not a real email address or something. That type of thing can throw off their system and cause your entire list to get denied. But if you split it up into smaller chunks, then you can end up getting most of your chunks approved and possibly just one of them getting denied. Now, I mentioned that the special account to get that single opt-in confirmation is through JVZoo. For AWeber, if you would like to join them, I do provide an affiliate link of mine in the guidebook for tonight's lesson. That would give me credit for joining AWeber, but you can obviously just go to aweber.com and still join that way. But with GetResponse, I'm not providing one of my affiliate links to join. I would rather you join in a way where I don't get any credit at all, because it's going to give you access to this special account type that you simply can't get if I were to refer you to GetResponse, or if you were to even go to getresponse.com yourself and create an account. What you need to do instead is register for a JVZoo vendor account if you do not already have one. I've provided a link in the guidebook to direct you to the page where you can register for that. Once you are in your JVZoo account, just go up to My Account right here, go down to GetResponse, and click on Get a JVZoo GetResponse account. This is the page where you can sign up for your GetResponse account. While GetResponse does not typically offer any kind of free trial or $1 trial or anything of that nature, if you are signing up through JVZoo, you'll actually get a completely free trial for 30 days. And this isn't one of those situations where you have to punch in credit card information. They don't even bill you $1. You don't have to give them any payment information at all. This information right here is really all you have to give them to get into your account. So they'll let you use it completely free for 30 days to see how you like it. So in a lot of regards, this is really the way that I would recommend to go. Try GetResponse. Have an account completely free for 30 days to give you a little bit of time to work with it and see if email marketing is right for you or not before you decide to actually commit to keeping that account. Now, even though you create this special account type for GetResponse through JVZoo, there is still one additional thing that you have to be careful about, and that involves naming your GetResponse campaigns. You have to use this prefix right here, JVZ _, in front of your campaign names when you are setting up a new list. I will get to this a little later on in tonight's class and actually show you how all of this works. Now, beyond the importing of emails that can be done with single opt-in on GetResponse, you can also use single opt-in with them in other ways. For example, if you happen to be selling something on JVZoo, many of you have, probably all of you have purchased something on JVZoo before, and you automatically get registered to somebody's newsletter when you do that. That is all happening without an additional confirmation step on your part because of this special partnership between JVZoo and GetResponse. Whenever somebody buys something on JVZoo, the vendor can have it automatically connected to a GetResponse newsletter, so they automatically join that newsletter when they purchase. In addition to that, though, when you're creating sign-up forms that you would host on your own website, you can use those with just single opt-in confirmation as long as you go through this particular process. Now, one of the drawbacks to GetResponse, they're not perfect, even though there are a lot of advantages to them over Aweber. There are some disadvantages as well. Now, I'm not 100% positive that this is not possible to do, but I have looked up and down for it, and I've never been able to find a way to export a list from GetResponse. So that means if I ever wanted to leave GetResponse, I'm not entirely sure if it would be easy to retrieve all of my newsletters off of there and transfer them to another company. Now, in addition to that, there's one other thing I wanted to mention. There have been some recent problems on GetResponse. They have suffered from some denial of service attacks where people have actually been trying to blackmail them for Bitcoins to stop attacks on their network. And they have successfully brought down GetResponse, I would say, 3 to 5 times for a period of 1 to 2 days over the last couple of months. Now, GetResponse is not alone in this problem. Aweber got attacked as well a couple of months ago. However, Aweber has not gone down ever since then. I can't say for sure that they have not been attacked since that time, but it makes me wonder if maybe Aweber took it really seriously and did everything within their power to prevent it from happening again in the future, whereas I suspect that GetResponse may have attempted to do less than they really could have done, which I think could be why they have suffered additional attacks and downtimes. Now, there was a downtime a little less than a week ago. I think it was last weekend. And after that downtime, they're saying that they essentially went for the most expensive protection that you can get. And so I kind of suspect that they held off from doing that before, because they're talking about it costing $500,000 or more. Now, this protection scrubs traffic that is coming to the website, so it's supposed to be able to throw out the bad traffic coming from an attack while still letting the good traffic in to a website. Since that time, GetResponse has not gone down again, but it has also only been about a week, so I can't 100% say for sure that that problem is fixed. But ultimately, this is something that you're going to experience online as a marketer at some point or another. Sites go down for a variety of different reasons. They get attacked. Things happen with the hosting company. So unfortunately, you kind of have to deal with these issues. But I at least wanted to mention this problem that has been recently going on. Now I'm going to go on now and start out with Aweber so I can show you a little bit about this particular service. Now, once you are in your account, you're going to be looking for this drop-down box up in the top left-hand corner. This is a list of all of your newsletters that you have. And over to the right of it, there is a Create and Manage List link. Just click on this link and then look for the green Create a List button. This will start us off in the process of creating a new list for this account. To start with, we need to provide a list name. The list name is supposed to be unique across the entire AWeber website. So that means that a lot of the basic simple names will likely already be taken. Personally though, I would recommend to name your list based on something that you can easily identify for whatever website it is that you're working with. So I'm going to name mine Carbon Fanatic 3. Actually, I have 2 other Carbon Fanatic email lists on this account already, so I can't use the earlier numbers. Now, you can't use spaces here or really any special characters. You can use hyphens, but that is about it. Lowercase letters, numbers, and hyphens. Now for the list description. This is something that people will see if they click on the unsubscribe link at the bottom of your emails. They will land on a page that will get them to confirm that they want to leave your list. Well, this gives you the opportunity in the list description to try to stop them from leaving. The easiest way to do this without having to put pressure on them or try to sell them to not unsubscribe from your account. A lot of times people will just simply get an email and they'll go to unsubscribe, not realizing that it was something they joined themselves. And so if you can let them know where this newsletter came from and why they're a member of it, essentially, they might be less likely to leave it once they reach the unsubscribe page. Now, this won't keep everybody from leaving your account. It's simply a fact of email marketing. You're going to have people that like you and stick with you, and you're going to have people that get annoyed by your emails and unsubscribe. It's not a big deal. You really don't want the people that are unsubscribing from you because they're obviously not interested in one way or another. So just worry about the people that are interested in you. However, putting something here in this list description can help to stop some of those people that are interested in you from leaving. So I'll do something like just put my website name, carbonfanatic.com, newsletter for carbon fiber final deals. So this is basically going to be a brief description of what my newsletter is going to be about. And so anybody that actually joined this newsletter, when they see this, they should at least be able to realize that this is something they joined themselves. So at least they're not trying to blame me for spam if they do decide to leave it. Now next up we have our name and address. You can use your personal name here, but it could also be a company name. Now obviously with these Amazon affiliate sites, you're not really looking to brand your personal name in most cases. You're branding your company name. So your company name is what I would use as the from name. Put it as Carbon Fanatic like this. You can even remove the space or even put the .com on the end. Whichever way you do it, it doesn't really matter. Now for your address, put this something for your domain name. If you already have an email account set up for your domain, use that, especially if you don't have a need for multiple emails perhaps on that domain name. You can just use one email. Now, when people read your newsletter and they try to reply to that email, this address is where that reply email is going to go. So I do recommend that you use an address that you actually monitor. This way, you have the opportunity to engage with your subscribers. If somebody sends you an email in response to one of your newsletters, I highly recommend answering it. When you take the time to do that, you are almost always building a loyal reader. When they realize that you will take a little bit of time to respond to them and chat with them, they kind of take a little bit of an extra interest in you in the future. Now, the final step here is your contact address. If you have no other addresses you could possibly use, you can use your home address here. Chances are nobody's ever going to come and knock on your door. This is my home address right here. I've had it in the bottom of my emails for 4 or 5 years at least at a bare minimum, and they go out to thousands of people every day, so I've never had anybody come knock on my door. I know some people are paranoid about this type of thing. Personally, though, I don't think it's that big of a deal. I don't think anybody's going to come and seek you out. Anybody with, a half a bit of sanity would realize that that would probably come across as strange if it was unannounced. So, it's really not something that I've ever worried about. However, you can use a business address here. You can even use a P.O. box for your business if you would like to. Now, finally, we have notifications down here. These notifications are for when you want to receive an email whenever somebody joins your list. If you're first getting started, this might be kind of important to use. It would allow you to know when something you've set up has worked out correctly and people are actually subscribing to it without having to actually go into Aweber all the time and look to see if there are new subscribers. Now, in addition to that, there is one other benefit to setting up an email notification here. It gives people that are unsubscribing from your list the chance to leave you a comment. And then when they unsubscribe, if they leave you that comment, it will be sent to this email address here. Now, when you get to the point where you have thousands of subscribers, it can be a little bit counterproductive in a way to let people leave you comments when they unsubscribe. Chances are when they unsubscribe, they're not happy with you for one reason or another. Sometimes they can provide you with some constructive criticism. Other times, though, they're just going to make you feel bad and make you feel like what you're doing isn't what you're supposed to be doing. But don't pay attention to the couple of people that are unsubscribing. Pay attention to the piles of people that are still there. Early on, I would pay a little bit too much attention to stuff like this and try to make big, drastic changes to correct the problems for people that weren't even on my list anymore. And as a result, I would end up driving away people that were still on my list because they were fine with the way things were. It was the people that had already left that weren't okay, so why make changes for them? In one way, it seems like not the right approach. I always teach like a helpful, useful approach to marketing, but there are certain times like this when you need to keep your own sanity in check and not be essentially chasing your own tail for reasons that may end up doing you more harm than good. In that regard, and in those situations, I do think you need to help yourself more than the people who are leaving your list. Now, when you're done with all this information, just click on Save and go up here to step number 2. Step number 2 involves company branding. Up here at the top, you can put in your company name and your website URL. This information, along with your logo, if you choose to upload one, it's not horribly important to have all of this information. They do require a company name and a website URL. But beyond that, you don't have to provide the logo and an email signature. This information will end up going on an archive page. This archive page will show the different newsletter broadcasts that I have sent out, and it will use this company branding information up at the top of it once you save the settings to personalize that page for you. However, this isn't as important as it may seem because you may not have anybody ever viewing those archive pages. It just depends on how you use your newsletter. I'm mainly referring to social media down here. If you connect up your account with Twitter or with Facebook, whenever you write a newsletter and send it out to your list, it will also post those to Facebook and or Twitter here for you. Since they cannot actually receive the email, and obviously like on Twitter, for example, there's no way you could post your entire email as a tweet. So it actually links up to a page on your archive. So these are the situations using this type of stuff is when your archive page would normally get used. Now the email signature up here, personally I never provide this email signature. The reason being is that it doesn't seem to get used everywhere where you would want this to be used. And so you end up having to try to remember, okay, is it going to be used here or is it not? And somewhere along the way you'll end up sending out emails that have 2 signatures down at the bottom, and it just looks silly. So to avoid that problem, I do all of my signatures on a message-by-message basis and simply avoid this particular box right here. So now I had already briefly mentioned social media before, but just to talk about it in a little more detail here, if you want to connect it up with Twitter, this may be a good idea because your Twitter account is likely a business account that is just associated with this website. But with Facebook, for example, this is not going to connect with your Facebook fan page. It's going to connect with your personal Facebook account. So in that regard, it may not be something that you would want to use unless your personal Facebook account is only for this particular business. Otherwise, you'll end up just simply annoying people with all these posts that they're not really interested in. Now, even though Twitter seems to be a decent option here, consider what exactly you're going to be using your newsletter list for. The emails that you send out, do you want people that have not subscribed to your newsletter to have access to those emails is the big question. Because if you're doing this, there might not be a big reason for people to join your newsletter because they can just follow it on Twitter instead. So if you have something special in your newsletter that's a reason that you get people to sign up to it, you may at least want to think twice before connecting it up with social media, simply because you would then be giving away all of that information in your newsletters without them being a member. Now you can preview your archive and unsubscribe pages down here just to see what they're going to look like when people reach those pages. Next up though, we have global text snippets. This is not something that I use and will likely not be something that you use either, but there are some particular cases where it could be useful. If you had a real store, for example, that had store hours, and you had an autoresponder sequence that was sent out to people after they joined your list, and in each of those emails you had a little section that showed your store hours. Let's say you reached a point where you needed to change your store hours. Instead of having to go back through all your different autoresponder emails and change them in each one, you can update them in one place and it would reflect on all of those emails. I'm going to save my changes here and proceed on to the final step. This is my confirmation message. Whenever somebody enters their information in your web form to join your list, they will be sent this email right here. In order for them to become an active subscriber on your list, so you can actually email them in the future, they have to click on this link right here. This is that double opt-in confirmation process. So your goal here is to try to craft this email to get people to click on that link. The default information that is here for the subject and for the intro paragraph is not really doing you any good. You're more interested in customizing this to fit whatever it is that you're trying to do with your list. So for example, let's say you have an ebook and you want to give people this ebook when they join your list. A subject of confirm your subscription really doesn't relate to what you're doing, but confirm your request for information or response required. Please confirm your request for information. One of those two definitely is a much better fit. Now you also have the option of creating custom subjects if you don't like one of the ones that they have available. However, they do require that you get approval on custom subjects. So anything you write in there before it actually gets used, Aweber will have to review and approve that for you. Typically though, I find myself using this one, the response required subject. Now next up, the intro down here. We received your request for information from the C group. Before we begin sending you the information you requested, we want to be certain we have your permission. If you use this basic message, you will have some people that confirm their link, but you'll have a pretty large percentage of people that do not. And that is because this message isn't doing anything to try to reinforce what it was that you got them to join your list for. So what I like to do is essentially try to close the sale here. whatever I was pre-selling them to get them to enter in their information on my sign-up form, I want to close the deal here to get them to click on this link, because once they click on this link, they're on my list. So I'm going to do something like customize my intro here. I'm going to say thank you for requesting to join the Carbon Fanatic newsletter to get access to special carbon fiber deals. To confirm you submitted this request and to get instant access to our vinyl deals page, please click on the link below. So this is a lot more specific and reinforces what I got them to join my list for in the first place. And it also brings on a call to action to confirm you submitted this request, and to get instant access to this deals page, click on the link. So finally, we have a signature down here. If you would like to use your personal name in some way associated with the site, you could put your name and then the website address. You could even just put your website name and your website address here, whatever you would prefer. Now for number 2 here, I really don't know why they have this setting, because even if you turn this off, it still seems to require double opt-in confirmation. It seems to be a site-wide policy of theirs, but it makes me wonder if maybe there's a way to get a special Aweber account like there is with the GetResponse account. But I've really never been able to find anything like that out there. So moving on to number 3, the success page here. When somebody receives this email and they click on this link, they're going to get sent to Aweber to record in the database that they have confirmed that link, but then they automatically get redirected to this page, whatever URL you enter in here. So what I like to do is use this page as the place where I deliver whatever it is that I'm promising them to get them to join my newsletter. So I'm going to put in carbonfanatic.com/deals. Thank you. Now, this particular page is not going to have is not actually in existence yet. However, I will be creating this in the next class, but for now I'm just going to go ahead and set it up. If you're creating this now or before the next class yourself, just simply come up with a page name for your website and record it so you can make sure you create that page on your site at a later point in time. Now, this checkbox right here, pass subscriber info for personalizing this page, not recommended for WordPress users. I, in fact, would not just recommend that you don't use it with WordPress. I'm going to highly, highly advise that you completely avoid it. Some people, when they try to access this page, when they click on that confirmation link, it's not going to work correctly with this subscriber info passed. Ultimately, to take this subscriber info and actually personalize a page, you have to have some programming knowledge to pull it off anyways. So beyond it being complicated, it's simply not compatible with WordPress. So make sure you do not check this box right here. I'm going to save my settings now, and this completes the creation of my list. It does not do anything in terms of emails for my list. When people join this list, they're not automatically going to receive an email or a sequence of emails until I go through manually and set them up. That would be done through the follow-up series, and then the regular broadcast newsletters that you send out over time are done through broadcast. I will actually be getting into the emails in the next class though. For now, what we're going to do is learn how to create a sign-up form. So I'm going to go up here to sign-up forms and then click create your first sign-up form. Now if you already have sign-up forms on this list, you'll see a list of them here, and the green button will move over here and it'll say create a sign-up form. So when you get onto this page, you'll see that there are 3 steps to this process up here. And down below we have the main editor window, which is where we design our sign-up form. Over on the left we have fields. These fields are used in these sign-up forms to request particular pieces of information from our subscribers. Email and name are fields. As you can see, the name field is in use right here. Email is not listed up here because you cannot remove it. Email is required on all of them. Now there may be some situations where you are tempted to try to get some additional information from your subscribers. However, you want to consider whether it's something you absolutely have to have or not, because the more information you ask from somebody that's filling out a web form of yours to join your newsletter, the lower of a percentage you will get of people that actually complete that information and join your list. So for this reason, I go for a minimal approach with my sign-up forms. Now over here in the main window, we have a bunch of templates that can be used if we wanted to have some kind of design for our web form. But I'm actually not going to be doing that with you today. This is obviously something that you could easily do on your own. So instead, I wanted to show you what I do with sign-up forms to create a completely customized template. So what I'm going to do here, instead of trying to design my form, I'm going to strip down my form. Up at the top, we have these different areas of the form: header, footer, privacy, powered by. Each of those applies to a different area up here. Here's the header, here's the footer, here's the powered by, here's the privacy, and so on. By clicking these, I can simply remove them from the form. So I want to remove everything up here except for privacy. I like to leave the email privacy. It goes to Aweber's privacy policy page so people can see what all the specific terms and conditions and everything are. Now beyond that, there's one other thing I want to do here. If you hover over each of these areas, you can see that sometimes you'll get a little red X up in the corner. I want to hover over name and remove the name field from this form. So all I have left is email and my button and my privacy policy link. So now I'm going to save my form and proceed on to step 2. Now for step 2, I just have to provide some settings for my form. The name right here is just for your own reference, but it should still be something that would help you to identify this particular form, especially if you're looking at a list of multiple forms. Aweber will keep track of stats as far as the views and the number of subscriptions and your percentage rate for each of the forms that you create. So you want to name them something where you can go back and recognize them and see how your forms are doing. Now there is a Facebook integration option. This sounds very appealing, especially since we are already doing stuff with Facebook and we have it connected with our website. It would seem like letting people join our newsletter with their Facebook information, it would seem like that would do better than making people fill out the information themselves. In reality, though, this Facebook integration form does not convert good at all. Facebook still controls the design of this form, and ultimately it's just not really what it could be. If they ever relinquish design of that and allow people to start customizing it, it could become a very viable option. But at least for now, I completely avoid it. So we have two different pages down here, thank you and already subscribed pages. These are the pages that people see when they first enter information on your sign-up form. They are taken to your thank you page. And this thank you page will tell them to go and check their email, to click on the link in the confirmation email. Now, if they're already subscribed to your list when they submit their information, they will end up on this page instead. Now, personally, I usually just leave these on basic versions. You can see what the thank you page looks like by clicking on the preview button here. There are some other options where you can add a logo and have audio or video, or even provide your own custom URL. But in a lot of cases, I just simply stick with basic version. Now in the advanced settings, I'm actually going to come back to this in the next class. This has to do with tracking. You can see right here you have an ad tracking area. So you can use one list, have multiple forms for that list, and use each form to bring in traffic from a particular source. And so you can figure out which is performing better than others. This is really important if you ever decide to pay for advertising to get people to join your list. You need to know exactly how that advertising is working out for you to determine if it's something that you should continue or not. So now save your form here, and we will proceed on to step 3. For step 3, all we have to do is click on I will install my form and click on raw HTML version right here. This gives us all of the HTML code for the form that we just created. So what I'm going to do is simply copy this HTML code right here, and then I'm going to paste it into a notepad file, and I will come back to this in just a little while to make use of it. So at this point, I'm going to move on to GetResponse now, and once I have gone through GetResponse, then we will continue on and learn how to take these forms that we've generated and put them into an actual page on our website. So now over on GetResponse, things pretty much work in a very similar manner here. However, where everything is located and how it looks is going to be pretty different from how it is on Aweber. To get started with, we have a drop-down box up here, kind of similar to Aweber. But to create a new campaign, we need to look for this text link down here at the bottom of this list. It says Create Campaign, and click on it. On this page, all we have to do to initially create our campaign is to give it a name. So I could give it a name like Carbon Fanatic 3. However, if you remember when I was showing you this sign-up page, how I told you that you needed to have this JVZ underscore at the beginning of your campaign names, this is what I'm referring to right here. JVZ underscore, and then whatever you want to call your newsletter list. The reason why you're putting this extra prefix on there is to get access to those single opt-in features. You not only need your account created through JVZoo, but then you also need to be naming your campaigns related to JVZoo right here. Now this doesn't technically connect it with JVZoo in any way, but it still gives you access to those single opt-in features if you would like them. Now, once you get to the point where you've created a number of lists on GetResponse, maybe you find yourself using the same settings for each one, you can copy your settings from another list. So I could copy it from one of the previous Carbon Fanatic lists that I've created here, instead of going through and doing it fresh each time. However, I want to do it from scratch so you can see exactly what I'm doing. So I'm going to create my campaign now and proceed on from there. So once you reach this page, you can create newsletters or autoresponders. But the main thing I'm interested in going to first is my campaign settings. There are 3 different pages of campaign settings here. On the first one, there's not a lot here that's very important, but you may still want to take a quick look at it. For example, the notifications. If you don't want emails every time somebody joins your list, you would want to turn that off. You also would want to double check your postal address to make sure it's correct. I actually need to update mine. It's my old house address. Now in the profile, this works just like the branding information that you are setting up on Aweber. You have a title, a description, a logo, and even a website URL that you can provide. And then down below, you can preview the various pages that GetResponse will set up, and it'll use this information with these pages. Now you also have a category. I'm not entirely sure if there's a point to setting this category or not. I suspect that it could be related to the Get Subscribers program, which is where you can pay GetResponse for leads, and you set up an advertisement which they then promote on their own network, and I think it would connect it with other relational lists in this manner to try to deliver better results on those ads. Now under permissions, these are the more important settings that you want to worry about. Up at the top, you have your confirmed opt-in options. Import is disabled by default. So this means that you could go and import a list of email addresses directly on GetResponse and not send out that additional confirmation email that they would have to click a link in to then join your list. But then they also have these options, email subscriptions and web subscriptions. An email subscription would be something like when you're a JVZoo vendor and somebody purchases a product from you and they're automatically added to your email list. That is set up through email subscriptions. Now, if you're creating a web form, just like we did on Aweber, and you're building your subscribers that way, those are your web subscriptions. So if you wanted people to enter the information on your form and automatically be a subscriber of yours instead of having to click on that additional confirmation email link, simply unchecking this box right here would allow that to happen. Now, down below, we have our confirmation message. This works just like it was doing on Aweber. It may not be important for you to set this up if you're not going to be using any of these. So if all three of these were unchecked, meaning that nobody would ever receive a confirmation email from you, then you wouldn't have to worry about this. But if you're going to have double confirmation on any of these options, then I would highly recommend for you to customize your subject here and the actual email itself. Now, unlike Aweber, there are a lot of options here that you can use. Keep in mind, though, we're only going to be getting the person's email address. We're not going to be asking for their name. So avoid using things like these that reference the person's name, or else it's not going to have a name to use for them. Instead, what I like to use is something, again, relational to what it is I'm trying to accomplish with my list. I like to use confirmation request, confirmation required. There's a number of them in here that I find to be pretty decent. And also this one down towards the bottom, product delivery confirmation. When you're offering them, you know, some kind of free product, essentially, this can be a very fitting subject. So now I'm clicking on Customize Confirmation Message here, and I'm going to work with the actual email that's being sent out. Now you remember I mentioned that we're not collecting a name, but this email template right here is referencing the name right up at the beginning. If I were to use this, again, that would end up being blank and not working as intended. But not only that, just the other information here, we have received your request for a subscription to a mailing list maintained by GetResponse email marketing service. To me, that sentence is not screaming to get people to join your list. That's screaming to get people to close your email and not confirm. So they have a lot of different templates you can use besides the one that you see here. They have all these different options here. Try to find something that is fitting to what it is that you're trying to do with your list. I like the information request one. There's a couple of other ones I like as well, but this is just one of them in particular. It gets rid of the content up at the top here. The topmost content in this email is right here, something that I have access to edit. So I get control over the beginning of this email and can push things in a particular direction. So I will again do something similar to what I did on the AWeber confirmation email, but I'll use a slightly different way of going about it here, just so you kind of have a few different examples that you can work off of. So I say, thank you for requesting to find out about exclusive carbon fiber deals. Before you can visit the deals page, you'll need to confirm that you have submitted this request. And then down below it says, your request for additional information has been received. Please confirm it by clicking the following link. So this all kind of flows together and also helps to reinforce the point of why I got people to join my list. Now down at the bottom, you can change your real name to the name of your website if you are more interested in branding that. However, you're not going to be able to put a link down here. If you try to put a link down at the bottom, like I did on AWeber, and then try to save your changes, it'll give you this little error message right here, and the reason why is specifically because of that URL. It will not allow it to be down in the signature, just on these confirmation messages though. So next up on this page here, we have the confirmation page. Again, this is just like it was on AWeber. When somebody clicks on the link in the confirmation email, they are redirected to whatever this confirmation page is. You can have this hosted by GetResponse, so they simply see a thank you for subscribing page. Or you can provide your own custom URL and direct them immediately to the page where you would deliver whatever it is that you promised them for joining your list. So I'll use the same deals thank you page for this list as well. And again, this page does not exist yet, but we will be creating this page in the next class as we proceed on with this training. So my list is created now. Just like I had done on AWeber, I'm up to the point now where I just have my emails left to create. You have newsletters, which are called broadcasts on AWeber. These are your normal mails that go out over time. And then you have your autoresponders. These are the mails that automatically get sent out for you when somebody joins your list. And again, I will be going into these in the next class. So for now, I'm going to proceed on and create a web form, just like I had done with AWeber. Now this page is pretty similar to that found on AWeber. You have 3 steps to go through. You have templates at the top that you can choose from if you would like. But again, I'm going to be using the default template and stripping this down to the bare bones. So this works just like it did on AWeber again, except my buttons are down here, and there's actually a button for the name field. It will not show me a little red X when I hover over it. You have to remove it down here. So I'm going to remove header, footer, name, and powered by. So this just leaves me with email and the button and the privacy link. Now there is one additional step that I need to take here on GetResponse that I did not have to do on AWeber. The coding that controls the way this form looks is more difficult to override on a GetResponse form than it is on an AWeber form. And so for that reason, I have a couple of adjustments that need to be made to this form before we actually collect the code. In this drop-down box right here, just go down and select Body. Next to Background, there's a little color icon here. Just click on this and change this to Transparent, and then click on the Apply button. This gets rid of the background color of the entire form. Now I want to go back to the drop-down box and go to Inputs. This time I'm going over to this last text box and I want to change this to 18 pixels. This is going to make the text size in my input box larger, and it actually makes the box itself a little larger as well. And finally, I want to go to Labels. Under Labels, I want to change this to 14 pixels, and that just makes this email label a little bit larger. So that's all I have to do now. I'm going to save my web form, and then I can proceed on to step 2. Now step 2 is very similar again to what it was on AWeber. You simply have to name your form first. You have a subscription via Facebook option, but again, the same thing applies here as it did on AWeber. That form is not controlled by AWeber or GetResponse. It's controlled by Facebook. So you really have the same drawback no matter what service you would be using. Now down below we have the thank you page. This is where people will end up once they join your newsletter in terms of entering the information on your sign-up form. They enter the information on your form, they are taken to this thank you page, then they have to go and get their confirmation email and click on the link in that email if you are doing double opt-in confirmation. So you can do special things like adding your picture and voice to these thank you pages, or even creating your own custom thank you page if you want. But personally, I just end up using this make your thank you page dynamic in most cases. Now there is a show advanced link down here which allows you to do tracking just like you could do on AWeber. And again, this is something that I will get into more in the next class. So for now, I'm going to save my form and proceed on to the final step. So in this final step, I am again looking for the HTML code, and I want to select all of this code, make sure you get everything in this box, and copy it. And I will again be pasting this into a notepad file. Now obviously I've gone through on two different services here. I've used AWeber and I've used GetResponse. However, you do not have to use both of them. By being able to see inside of each of these accounts, and also with the ability to either create a free account on GetResponse or to create a $1 trial account on AWeber, you can even get into these accounts yourselves and play around with them a little bit and essentially pick one that you like the best and go for that one. So go through this whole process that I've shown you here and generate HTML code for whichever newsletter service you have decided you would like to use. Once you have that code, then we can proceed on with the last thing I would like to teach you tonight, and that is how to put together a page on your own website where you can collect these leads. But it's not just going to be a basic copy and paste this code onto a page type of situation. I have a particular way that I like to go about creating these custom templates, and I've actually built a complete system for you to do all the hard work. Now, one last thing before I proceed. Publish on Facebook fan page right here. This is also something I'm going to go into in the next class. This allows you to integrate a sign-up form into a Facebook fan page, which is pretty cool. So now, on my website, the member page for this webinar series, we have our course material. Beyond the guidebook and the checklist that we have for all of the classes, there are two other things here that you will need for this part of the class. The first one is a submit button image. Take this image and download it. Go to Save Image As, download it to your own computer, and save it. The other thing here is this sign-up form template generator. I have this open in another window already. That will take you to this page right here. This is the page that you will use to generate your sign-up page. Now obviously we already have the form generated. This isn't generating a form for us, but it's taking that form and compiling it into a complete web page for us. So the first thing we need to do here is provide a title. This title is going to show up in large red text at the top of this page. So we want to keep this sentence pretty short. Put a few words in there, maybe a short sentence at the very, very most. The shorter the better, but still you want to be selling what you're trying to get people to join your list for here. The example that I'm going to be giving you guys here is to get people to join your list to get access to deals relating to your niche. And then what you can do on the back end to deliver that is to create a special page of Amazon deals. So you are accomplishing that end of it, and you're also going to be able to build up some earnings and commissions that way as well. So your whole goal here with this title and then the description down below it is to convince the person to enter in their information to get access to what it is that you're offering. The description that I'm going to use here, high quality carbon fiber wrap can be downright expensive, but you don't have to settle for paying full retail price. I can show you where to find some amazing deals on vinyl. Just tell me where to email your access link. I want to explain what I've done here in this description. First of all, in this initial sentence, I am touching on something that is important to customers in this industry. I am addressing the cost. A lot of this carbon fiber, especially the higher quality stuff, can be pretty expensive. But you don't have to pay full retail price. So I'm immediately trying to play on something that I think will be important to people interested in this type of product. And then I go on to tell them that I can show them where to find some great deals, and all they have to do is give me their email address. But this sentence right here, this is also a really important sentence and something I end up using on pretty much any newsletter sign-up form in one way or another. This helps you to avoid getting bad emails. If people think for a moment that they can put a fake email address into your sign-up form and still get access to what it is that you're offering, they will do it in a heartbeat. So I use this sentence to imply that they need to give me their email because that's where I'm going to send their access link to what it is that I'm offering here. Now, even though I direct that person along to the proper page, once they have clicked on their confirmation email, I still do email their access link to them. So that ends up holding true. And this is even the case if I use single opt-in confirmation. And again, we'll get onto this a little bit more in the next class. So moving down here, enter your email text. When I was creating the sign-up forms, above the box where you enter in your email address was the word email. This phrase right here is going to replace that word email. So this is what I often will use is enter your email here, but you can feel free to change that. If you just want to use the standard email, you can always switch it back to just email. Now next up we have image URLs. I have a submit button image URL and I have a background image URL. For the submit button image URL, this is the image that I am referring to. You need to download this to your own computer and then go into your WordPress website. Go to Media, go to Add New, and then upload that submit button. Once it is uploaded, it'll be listed down below here. Just click on Edit next to it, and this will take you to a page where you can get the complete URL for the image that you have uploaded. And then you can take this back to this form and paste it in. So next up we need a background image URL. And this is something that I have not provided for you. The reason why is because this should be something that relates to your niche. So what you want to do is go out to Google and try to find a picture that you could use for your background image. Now what I like to do is try to find something highly relational to my niche. I'm going to go for a carbon fiber car, but then whatever it is that you're going to search for, add the term wallpaper onto the end of it, and then search the different images that are available. Now the next thing that you need to do is hover over each of these images. As you can see, you get dimensions down in the corner when you hover over each of them. What you are looking for is an image that is at the very least this size right here, 1920 by 1080. This is a high def size and will take up the full screen on desktop computers and a lot of laptop computers. Now you can go for an image that is larger than 1920 by 1080. However, you don't want it to be too much larger or else you may end up only seeing a portion of that image on your page. However, these images right here, 1920 by 1200, they will work out just fine. That's the same width as this image, but it's just simply slightly taller. Now, also keep in mind, copyright issues and stuff with these images. You can go and visit the actual web pages to find out for sure whether these images are something you can be used. I would probably recommend avoiding images that have some kind of watermark or something already on them, because they're most likely going to be images that you can't use. But once you find something that you want to use, right-click on it. You want to expand it like this, first of all. Open it up, and then right-click on this larger image and click on Save Image As, and then save it to your computer. Now I already have this image saved to my computer, and I have actually already uploaded it into my site right here. So I can then go and copy the full URL of this image after I have uploaded it to my own website. And now I go back to this page in the member area and I paste that URL in for the background image. Now the last thing that you need to do is provide the sign up form HTML code. This is what we generated over on Aweber and GetResponse. All of this HTML code that we pasted into the Notepad file. All you have to do is paste that code into this box right here. You can put in either Aweber or GetResponse code here, and my system will automatically recognize it for you, detect which one it's using, and make the proper modifications to it. So once you have all of these boxes filled out, just click on the Generate button down at the bottom. This is going to generate everything that we need to create this page for us. There are two boxes of information. We have page HTML code and we have custom field HTML code. So at this point, I'm going to now go back to my WordPress website and I want to create a new page. So I'm going to go to Pages and Add New. Don't create a post for this particular setup. So now, name your page whatever you would like to. You can also proceed with your normal search engine and social network listing information if you would like to. But the main item of importance is, first of all, make sure you're in the text tab. Then we're going to go back to this page and select and copy all of the page HTML code from this first box up here. That code gets pasted into the page right here. And there's literally nothing else to do with the page content. Everything else is going to be down the page a little bit more. First thing you want to do is look for Weaver 2 options. Now, this strategy that I'm showing you, it's possible it could be pulled off with a different theme. However, not all themes are going to have the options available to you to remove different parts of the web page. If for some reason you're building your site and you're not using the Weaver theme, what you can do is install WordPress into a subdirectory of your domain name and set up Weaver 2 on that subdirectory. And then you could simply create your newsletter pages in that subdirectory and just use it for that particular purpose, and it'll leave your main site unaffected. So what I'm going to do here is select a number of these check boxes to remove different parts of my site. I'm going to hide the page title, I'm going to hide the entire header, I'm going to hide the info bar, I'm going to hide the menus, and I'm going to hide the entire footer. A little further down here, I'm going to select this box for Allow Raw HTML and Scripts. And finally, I'm going to change this sidebar layout to no sidebars. Now once this is done and you have duplicated these settings as you see them here, scroll down until you get to the custom fields. Now for the custom fields, we want to click on Enter New right here, and then we're going to type in page head code with hyphens in between each of those words. Now we just have a value box left. Return to the page where we generated all of our code and look at the second text box right here. Custom field HTML code, and it specifically even says page head code right here. Just copy all of the code from this box, return to your page, and paste it into this value field right here. Once you're done, click on the Add Custom Field button, and that will save that code in for this field. Now once you're done with that, the last thing you have left to do is to publish the page. However, I would recommend not to publish it on Facebook, at least not right now. Wait until next class till I can show you how we can use that GetResponse app and actually integrate it. But not only that, the rest of this newsletter list and sign-up form is still incomplete. You know, we haven't set up autoresponder emails. We haven't even set up the thank you page that's going to deliver what we're promising people. So ultimately, you don't want to be directing traffic to this page quite yet. So remove the publish to Facebook option and then publish this particular page to your site. So we can now go and view this page to see exactly what we have created. You may have seen this style of sign-up form and lead generation before, where you have a background image covering the entire site, and the area where you're punching in your email is as small as possible, really. We have a little bit of text information here to try to convince the person to enter in their email and to tell them what they're going to be getting by joining our list here. But then beyond that, there's nothing else here. If you were to visit this page and you weren't, logged into this website, let me copy this address right here and log out real quick so I can show you what I'm talking about. So if you were just a normal visitor coming to this web page, there's no way in a million years you could ever guess that it was built on WordPress unless you started looking at the source code for it. It simply just does not look like a WordPress site. This strips everything down to the bare bones so people can pay attention to exactly what we want to pay them to pay attention to. That way we can drive traffic to this page for the sole purpose of building leads. So this is a page we can end up linking up to from our website. We could link up to it from social networks. We could even directly advertise this page, pay for advertising to push people into this newsletter, get them to sign up for our form. And once they're on our newsletter, then we can continually promote to them over time, and makes it to where one customer of yours can be potentially worth numerous sales instead of just hoping that they will purchase one thing from you. Now again, with the next class, we are going to continue on with these strategies and learn how to incorporate all of this together. So we're going to be moving on with the actual newsletter and autoresponder creation. And then we'll also be talking about how to actually drive traffic to this and how to set up your deals page so you can earn some commissions off of this as well. So this whole strategy will get tied together after the next class.